Hello everybody and welcome back to episode 8 of my League of Legends tutorial. I've shown you many times that wards are important, and today I'll be showing you how to ward, where to ward, and where not to ward. Here I'm playing as Nunu, and I'm going to ward the Baron part of the map first. Here is the most efficient place to put the ward. By warding it in that intersection, you'll see all 4 directions using only one ward.
Let's make tracks.
Now many people like to ward this bush here, if they're in the top lane. I generally don't like to ward that bush because if you properly ward Baron, you'll get vision of everything up to that bush. And if you see someone enter the bush, then it's not really necessary to see inside the bush too, because you'll already know that they're there. See how much vision I have? Now some people also like to ward this tri-bush. This is good if you're keeping an eye on the enemy jungler. You'll be able to see part of the river and part of these 2 jungle lanes. But again, a properly warded Baron would already give vision of the river, and a ward at the enemy red buff will provide a better vision area than this tri-bush. And now here is the home of Baron Nashor. This is very important to keep warded in the late game because killing Baron gives 900 experience and 300 gold to everybody on the team, as well as a very powerful buff. The buff it gives provides 40 AP, 40 AD, and a very high level of health regen and mana regen. This buff lasts for 4 minutes. Baron spawns at 15 minutes and then respawns every 7 minutes after being killed. And here is the perfect spot to ward. You should always have a ward here, especially late game. It shows you if the team is fighting Baron. It shows you if anyone is entering your jungle from this path here. And it also shows you good vision up and down the river. If anyone's running from mid to top, you'll see them. And if anyone's running from top towards mid, you will see them. A perfectly placed ward will show almost all the way to the top bush, which will warn the top laner of gank attempts. And it will also show this bush by mid.
It's cold out there.
Now some people like to ward these bushes right by the edge of the middle lane, but I prefer to ward the bush slightly further down. It will provide a greater area of coverage showing more of the river and also giving vision inside the bush. Many times this bush is the ideal hiding spot for enemies to hide if they're going to gank you, as you attempt to fight Baron or Dragon. Now see how much vision I have. I see all the way up to the bush by the river, and I can see almost all the way up to Dragon and Baron just using that one ward. And this is Dragon. Killing Dragon gives a whopping 190 gold to the entire team, which will give a team an edge in a close battle. It does not provide a buff, but the killers receive 400 experience. Dragon spawns at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and it'll respawn every 6 minutes after dying. Since Dragon spawns so early, it's important to keep him warded throughout the entire game. Notice that warding the bush here and warding the Dragon provide vision of nearly the entire river. Usually mid will ward the 2 bushes, and bottom support should ward Dragon, and the top should ward Baron. But the jungler is responsible to pick up the slack of and ward any areas that the rest of the team aren't warding. Now sometimes the support character will ward this bush that I'm standing in instead of warding Baron. This is acceptable, but I prefer to ward Baron, or Dragon I should say. First of all, it provides equal protection against ganks on the bottom lane. You'll see the enemy approaching with either ward. You can ward this bush or you can ward Dragon and you'll see the enemy approaching. And secondly, the ward at Dragon will show if anyone tries to fight Dragon. Sometimes the enemy jungler will sneak in and try to fight Dragon by himself. If you see him doing that, you can go and pick up a kill pretty easily. It'll also show if the enemy jungler is entering his own jungle through this path, or if he's going to try and enter your jungle by crossing the river. I'm going to fast forward here to this point. Yep. Now here is the enemy blue buff. The killer of this golem receives extra mana regen and cooldown reduction. He respawns every 5 minutes after dying. Sometimes it's useful for the jungler to ward here to know where the enemy jungler is. If you can catch the other jungler while he's fighting blue, you may be able to invade and steal blue, or kill him, or at least get him to low health and make him recall. Now it's okay to ward right here in the corner of the bush, but you don't have much vision of the pathways. If you ward here towards the middle of the bush more, where am I going? If you ward the middle of the bush there, well, I warded a little too high, but if I warded it slightly lower than that, you'll still see blue, and you'll get vision of all the paths. You'll see out this way, you'll see up this way, and you'll see up this way, which is better. So I should have put the ward right around here, or maybe even here, so I can still see blue, and I can see more of the jungle paths. Ouch. Okay, similar to blue, here's the red lizard. When killed, the killer receives a buff that causes basic attacks to slow the enemy and deals damage over time. This minion, just like blue, also respawns every 5 minutes. You're going to want to ward it here to see if the enemy jungler is fighting, and you'll also get a little bit of vision down the paths, which is useful. Thank you for watching, that's all. I hope you learn to use wards and buy wards, and I hope you learned something about what the buffs do and why you should be fighting dragon as much as possible and stuff like that. So stay tuned for the next episode where I'll teach you what to do after the first tower falls. Thank you.